Here we go. We are at the bottom of Mem Gimel Amud Aleph 43a, the Gemara. So the last case here was these two guys are going together, and Reuben and Shimon. And Reuben makes a promise, neder. He has a neder on Shimon that can't benefit from him. The only thing is that this guy is really hungry, and he doesn't want to violate his neder, but he wants to give him food. So the last case was if there's no one else around, what you do is you put the food on a rock or put the food on a fence and say it's hefker, it's ownerless, and now whoever wants to come and take it, now the other guy come and take it, and that's it. Rav Yossi Oser. Rav Yossi says no, can't do that. Asur. And that's the Gemara's question right away. Amar Rav Yochanan, my tamad Rav Yossi. What's the reason of Rav Yossi? Meaning, in general, hefker is I relinquish my ownership on it, and that's it. It's a very easy thing. So what's the issue over here? The guy relinquishes ownership, the other guy can come and take it. That's it. Yeah, we know it's like a little bit of a game, whatever, he's doing it tavka for him. So why does Rav Yossi say this hefker is not allowed? Answers the Gemara, Kasavar hefker kematana. Rav Yossi is of the opinion that hefker works, the mechanics of hefker, of relinquishing your ownership, works different than what we just explained. He says hefker is like giving a gift. Ma matana ade atia mirishut noten lirishut mekabel. Just like a gift, ade atia, until it reaches mirishut noten lirishut mekabel, from the possession of the giver to the possession of the receiver. A gift, it doesn't leave my possession until I give it to the other person. As much as I have intention to give it, I tell people I want to give it, whatever, it doesn't change ownership until I give it to the person. Af hefker, so to hefker, adeati l'reshut zoche, until it reaches the reshut of the zoche, the ownership of the person that gets it. So if a person puts down this sandwich on the rock, says, oh, it's hefker, it still belongs to him until someone comes and takes it. So what's happening is that, yes, anyone from the streets could come and take it, but it's still mine. It's still, in our case, Reuven's, and now if Shimon's going to take it, Shimon's benefiting from him. So it's direct. It's not regular hefker. Is there's no ownership. It's mine. I say hefker, no ownership, and then this person comes and takes it. According to Rav Yossi, there's always ownership. It's just that you said the word hefker. Okay, now you give the ability to other people to come and get it, but now when they come and get it, it's now a switch of ownership from Reuben to whoever came to get it, and therefore in that case it's asur. You can't benefit from him. That's the explanation of Rav Yossi. And the Ran explains that just like a gift, a person could go back on it. Eli? Eliyahu, Chazaku Baruch, hard-working guy, and Chazaku Baruch. Okay, so full house. So we're talking about. Let's just bring Eli up to speak quickly. We're talking about two guys that one has a neder on the other. He can't benefit from it, but they're by themselves, and he feels bad. This guy's hungry, and I want to give him food, but there's a neder here. So what he does is he says, I'm going to put this food on the stone, and I say, okay, it's hefker, it's ownerless, and then he's going to come and take it. So the Mishnah says that's okay. Rav Yossi says no, that's not okay, because you're not allowed to benefit from it. But in hefker, it works like that. You just relinquish ownership. The Gemara says, what's the reason of Rav Yossi? The Gemara answers, Rav Yossi's opinion is hefker is like a gift. That just like when a gift, I give the gift, and then it's still mine, no matter how much I talk about it, and that's what the Ran says. I could talk about it from today till tomorrow, but even though I told people I'm going to give this person the gift, I'm going to give this guy Levi a gift, I'm going to give him a gift, I could always go back on it until I actually give it to him. So too, when it comes to hefker, it's mine, even though I put it on the rock and said it's hefker, it's still mine until the person comes and takes it. And therefore, what's happening here is, at the end of the day, Shimon is benefiting from Reuven, and he can't. And that's a violation of the neder. That's why it's asur. The Gemara continues. I was reminded that the kids in school, and my kids come home, they let's say a kid's eating a candy, and there's a little piece left, but it comes with a wrapper. So he would say hefker. Now a kid that wants it, they'll say zoche, like I'm zoche. He says, okay, fine, you're zoche, but you have to take the wrapper off, and you throw out the wrapper, right? So that's the thing also, right? But there's a hefker, zoche, and then but also sometimes the kids play tricks, and there's really nothing left there. But hefker, zoche, and it's just a wrapper. Oh, you got it. You said it's yours. But that's the hefker, zoche. That's my kids. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so 3 lines up from the bottom. Metiv Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba asks, Vahala notel ve'ochel. The question we're going to see is at the end. And this person takes it and eats. Back to the case of the Mishnah. And that's actually the last line of the Mishnah, the same words. This guy could come and take it and eat it. After Reuven said it's hefker, Shimon could take it and eat it. Rabbi Yossi oser. Rabbi Yossi, this is a quote from the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi says it's asur. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Now the metiv, the Gemara's question we're going to see is towards the end of this, but it's quoting like in a Rav Yossi from another source. And we're going to see that Rav Yossi statement is contradictory to this Rav Yossi in our Mishnah. So let's see. So Rav Yossi says it's asur. Amar Rav Yossi. Rav Yossi says, Ematai, when do I say it's asur? When do I say these 2 guys are walking, etc.? He puts it on the stone. When do I say it's asur? Bizman shenidro kodem lehafkiro. When the guy's neder came before the hefker. Aval, but im haya hefkiro kodem lenidro. Harizim mutar. But if the hefker came before the neder, it's allowed. So like this. Rav Yossi is saying the following. When the guy plays this trick, let's say, right? So he says, oh, hefker, you can take the sandwich. If the neder was already beforehand, then he knows we already have a neder. So why are you doing this thing? You're doing it as a trick for me to have a food. That he says doesn't. That's not the reason. That doesn't work. But if, let's say, we don't have a neder between us yet, and then I say, here, this thing's hefker, and then so let's say that'll be the case. 2 guys are walking. There's no neder between them. And this guy he has an extra sandwich. He doesn't want to carry it. He puts it on a thing, and he says, this thing's hefker. And before the other guy gets it, so I just want to let you know something. You've been really mean to me lately. I don't want you to benefit from me ever. Can now he get that sandwich that's there from hefker? Says Rav Yossi, yes, you can, because the hefker preceded the neder. So Rav Yossi has a caveat. That's where he says where it's allowed, where it's not allowed. Did the hefker precede the neder, or the neder preceded the hefker? If the neder was first, then it's kind of like a game, and no. But if the hefker came first, then it works. Now the Gemara asks on this, though this is not like the Rav Yossi that we just learned in our Mishnah. That's what the Gemara is going to point out. Ve'i amrat, and if you say that the mechanics of hefker work in a way that it's still mine until it reaches that person's hands. Mali nidro kodem hafkiro, mali hefkiro kodem nidro. What does it make a difference if the neder came first or the hefker came first? The whole mechanics of hefker is that it's mine still, even though I said hefker, until the other guy picks it up. And therefore, there's a neder in place over here. At the end of the day, even if I said, because that was the case that we just gave, that I made this hefker, and then, the guy is about to go get it, and I said, by the way, I don't want you to benefit from my stuff. So, he says, well, the hefker came first, so I could get it. That's what Rav Yossi said, well, that will work. But the Gemara is asking, Rav Yossi in our Mishnah, that we just learned, is that the mechanics of hefker is that it's still mine until the other person gets it. So what does it make a difference if the neder came first or the hefker came first? it's still mine until he comes and gets it. And therefore, at the time that he comes and gets it, there is a neder in place, be it if the hefker came first or after. But even if the hefker came before, there is a neder in place at the time that he comes and gets it, and then that's asur for him because hefker means it's still mine until he gets it. So he's benefiting from me. So what's going on over here? Rav Yossi of our Mishnah that's the metiv, that's the question, is contradicted to this explanation that Rav Yossi is giving, where there's a caveat as to if the hefker came first, then it would work. How does that fit with our Mishnah? Answers the Gemara, hu motivla v'hu meshanila. He asked the question and he answered the question. This is Rabbi Abba, I think it was, right? Mm-hmm. Rabbi Abba answered the question himself, and he says, Kol hanoder. He says this is the explanation of Rav Yossi. Kol hanoder en da'ato al ma she'ifkir. Anyone that makes a neder does not have in mind on what he's making hefker. He doesn't have that in mind. Let's see the Ran. Look at the top right. Says the Ran. Kol hanoder en da'ato al ma she'ifkir. A person that makes a neder does not have in mind what he made hefker. Ena chanami de matzi hadarbe. Yeah, of course, you could still go back on it, meaning the mechanics of Rav Yossi is still not changed. It's still the same mechanics. The hefker remains mine until the other person takes it. So I can always go back on it. Ena chanami de matzi hadarbe. De dilehave, it's still his. V'i hava asar leoto davar sheifkir בפירוש חייל נדרו. ויהיה אסר לאותו דבר שהפקיר בפירוש חייל נדרו. And if he would have made asur that item that he made mafkir בפירוש חייל נדרו, his neder is still in play, אלא הכה היינו תמה משום דכל האוסר נכסיו סתם אין דעתו על מה שהפקיר. So here though, when a person makes a neder, what's happening is they don't have in mind things that they are mafkir. Yeah. And if the person that makes a neder, he includes something that he was mafkir. If a guy says, I don't want you to benefit from me at all, including the stuff that I was mafkir, because according to Rav Yossi, the stuff that you're mafkir is still yours until someone else takes it, and that would work. But in general, a person doesn't have that in mind. When a guy says, I don't want you to benefit from me, he doesn't have in mind the things that he was mafkir, because hefker, even according to Rav Yossi, is still one step away from his ownership, meaning it's still his ownership, but it's very close to not being his ownership anymore, because someone else could just come and get it. So when I say, hey, Reuben, or Shimon, I don't want you benefiting from me. From all my stuff, I don't want you benefiting from me. Unless he specifies it, he still could benefit from the hefker stuff, because a person doesn't have that in mind, because it's far removed. So now, with that in play, now we can understand Rav Yossi's explanation. Rav Yossi's explanation is like this, that it depends what was first, the neder or the hefker. If the neder came first and then the hefker, then the neder, let's say this is the item, this is the sandwich. The neder comes first, and then the hefker. The neder comes first, you can't benefit from me, then you can't benefit from this. This is my stuff and I have this in mind.
Why did you put it on the thing?
No, so now that I say it's hefker, right? So why did you, but it's still, that's according to Rav Yossi. Yeah, why do you put it? He wants to give it to his friend. He wants to try doing it, right? He wants to try doing it, but what's the actual halakha of it? Can you do it? I mean, you have a neder in play. That's what's going on over here.
So he's contradicting his own neder.
Yeah.
By doing that.
Yeah. He wants to, but he's not doing the proper way to get out of the neder. Hatara Nedarim, or, so Rav Yossi, that's what Rav Yossi in the Mishnah says, doesn't work, meaning your neder overrides this action that you want to try doing. So if the neder comes first, then the hefker. So what's happening is, I say, hey Shimon, I don't want you to benefit from me at all. I have in mind this sandwich because it's not hefker, it's still mine. Then I make it hefker, the status doesn't change.
according to Rav Yossi still, because it's still mine until you benefit, until you take it. And once you take it, you're benefiting from me. It doesn't work. If the hefker comes first, let's say I have too many sandwiches, I just put this down, like, hey, this is hefker. And I see the guy walking towards the sandwich. By the way, or just in general, by the way, I don't like you anymore. Shimon, I don't want you to benefit from I don't want you to benefit from all my stuff. A person doesn't have in mind the hefker things. If you say and you include your hefker things, then you include it. It's still yours, according to Rav Yossi. But if you don't say it, it's not included, and the guy could take that sandwich, could benefit from that hefker, because the person doesn't have that in mind, and therefore it doesn't contradict the neder. Because the whole thing was, Rav Yossi, it's still the guy's until someone else takes it. But here, what happens is that it was hefker first, and then the neder came into play. And neder doesn't go on hefker things. That's what he's saying over here. Neder doesn't go on hefker things. So it's not a violation of the neder, because the guy took his hefker item and it was not included in the neder. It's going on kol neder in da'ato mashivkir. So that's a way to reconcile these two opinions, these two statements of Rav Yossi. The Gemara asks a question on this. 5 lines down. Metiv Rava asks, Miktsatan la Rishon. We'll translate it literally, and then we will. Actually, let's look at the Ran, and because the Ran has a different girsa over here, and we'll use the Ran's girsa. Yeah, let's see that little olive here says, look at the Ran's girsa. We'll do the Ran's girsa. So look at the Ran. Hachi Garsinan. 4 lines down. The Ran. Hachi Garsinan. This is the way we're gores. This is the proper wording of the Gemara. Metiv Rava. Rava asks a question on this. Miktsatan la Rishon. Literally, I'll translate it literally, and then we'll read the Ran to explain what the case is. Miktsatan la Rishon, a partial to the first one, the kulan la sheni, and everything to the second one. Sheni zacha lishtabed barishon. The second one is zoche, to enslave the first one. Partial to the first, everything to the second. The second is merit to enslave the first. What's going on over here? Continues the Ran. Ubraita hibe tosefta de Baba Batra. It's a braita, the tosefta of Baba Batra. This is the explanation. Misha yesh lo shnei avadim. A person has 2 servants, avadim. And now this guy is, maybe he's writing his will, he's deciding, he's getting old, he wants to give gifts to his servants. V'natan miktsat nechasav larishon. He tells the first guy, he says, I want to give you a portion of my nechasim. I want to give you a portion of my nechasim, of my properties. V'achar kach, then afterwards, natan lasheni, v'achar kach natan lasheni. Then he gave to the second person, Natan Kulan, he gave everything to the second person. He tells the second guy, by the way, I want you to own everything that I have. I'm giving you everything. He tells the first guy, I'm giving you partial. Second guy says, I'm giving you everything. What's the halacha over here? Says the Gemara, Lo kana rishon. The first guy gets nothing. Why? The dilma begufe shayer. Because maybe he left his body behind. Let's explain. And then we'll read it inside. This is talking about avadim. Avadim, servants, halachic avadim, are property of the owner. And let's say an eved goes and he finds something on the floor, he finds money on the floor. Mashakana avdo kana rabo. What the eved is koneh, what the eved gets, it goes to his master. He's an extension of his master. It's his property. So what happens is the owner now tells the first guy, hey, I want to give you a partial of my estate. Oh, thank you so much. And then he goes to the second guy, I'm giving you my entire estate. So when he told the first guy, I'm giving you a partial of my estate, then he didn't specify what part, and in all likelihood, because we don't know, he himself is owned by the estate. He is part of that estate, and because it was not specified what part he's getting, we can't say that he's going to get ownership of himself, and therefore he himself is still under the estate. Now, when he told the second guy, "You're getting everything," I mean, he's also getting the first guy. He's inheriting. He says when he tells the second guy, "You're going to get everything." That means you're going to get your freedom. You're going to get everything, including the first guy. So first guy's getting nothing. Second guy's getting everything. Let's go back to the run. We'll see how this whole thing applies to our case over here with Rav Yossi. So let's read from the beginning again of the run. מתי רבא, מקצן לראשון וכהן לשני, שני זכה להשתווה בראשון, וברייתא היא בתוספתא דרבא בתורה. This is the explanation. A person has two avadim. Noten miktzat nechasav the rishon. He gives partial of nechasim to the first eved. V'natan ve'achakach natan kulan l'sheni. He gives everything to the sheni. Lo kana rishon. The first guy gets nothing. Because maybe his body is left over in the estate. Since he himself did not acquire himself, he can't acquire any of the properties. Because in Eved that's koneh, it's your property that's koneh. It belongs to the master. But the second guy, zacha be'atzmo, he was zocheh for himself because he says you could have everything. That means you could have your freedom, you have everything. And the entire estate. He also can now be have this first guy as his slave. Because for the second guy, there's nothing left over. And now Ran speaks out the question. Ve'i amrat de'en da'ato al ma shehifkir hachanami en da'ato al ma shenatan kvar. We're saying like this, that we just came off by saying that the way we reconcile Rav Yossi's two opinions is that Rav Yossi says that a person doesn't have in mind when he says, "Hey Shimon, I don't want you to benefit from me anymore." He doesn't have in mind things that he was mafkir. Things that are mafkir are basically out of my possession, so I didn't have that in mind unless he specifies it. He doesn't have that in mind. So the Gemara wants this. The Gemara is asking. Hang on a second. This guy, owner of the estate, told Evan number 1, "I'm giving you a partial amount." Then he tells Evan number 2, "I'm giving you everything." And what's the rule? What's the halacha? We say the second guy gets everything. Now, hold on a second. Maybe he had in mind. So, what's going on over here? Here, he's not having in mind on what he gave already. Right? Sorry, in the case of Rav Yossi, when a person says, I don't want you to benefit from me anymore. Where is I don't want you benefiting from me anymore? Then what's happening is that he doesn't have his hefker stuff in mind. Hefker stuff is not in his mind. Here we're going to see not that case. Why?
It's a contradiction.
Here's a contradiction. Why is it a contradiction? Because here he gives the first guy partial. He gives the second guy everything. And we say the second guy gets everything. So we see over here, why is there a contradiction? Here also the guy doesn't have in mind what he first gave.
The opinion of you want to hear the explanation in English?
Yeah, one second. In that how much here. In that how much natan kvar. In that how much natan kvar. In that how much. Okay, let's hear.
I don't know, it says like Rabbi Yossi opinion is basically that the acquisition of a gift is not completed until the item itself comes from the possession of the one who gives the gift to the possession of the one who receives the gift.
Okay.
That's like the contradiction here in compared to that claim. Because the gift to the second person will not be a gift of all of his remaining property. Like the second guy will not get Rokana.
אין דעתו על מה שהפקיר. אין דעתו על מה שהפקיר. When a guy says, hey Shimon, I don't want you to benefit from me, his mind is not on things that he's mafkir. So too over here, חנמי אין דעתו על מה שנתן כבר. Now, it is evident from this ruling that when a sick person made his gift to the second person, we assume that he intended to include in it even the possessions he had already bequeathed to the first person. Yes, that's what it is. By the same token, we should say that when a person declares an neder, he includes even the ownerless. Okay. What's happening over here with these two avadim is that when the guys I'm giving, the first guy partial, second guy I'm giving him everything. The ruling is the guy gets everything. But we don't say that this guy, when I say, everything to number two, you should say maybe, well, excluding the stuff that I give to number one. Meaning when a person does put stuff for hefker, what do we say? Now that I make a ned, hey, Shimon, don't benefit from me, it excludes that stuff of hefker. It's out of my possession. So you, Shimon, could benefit from that stuff. In the case of the two avadim, I tell the first guy, hey, partial, second guy, everything, including the stuff I gave. That's the question. Including the stuff I gave to the first guy. But to be in tandem with the first case, to be connected in the proper way to the first case, it should have excluded what he gave to the first guy. Again, and I got it. So what happens in the case of hefker is when I tell this guy, Shimon, hey Shimon, you're not benefiting from me anymore. It doesn't, we came out, according to Yossi, it doesn't include things that are hefker. The guy could benefit from the hefker. He doesn't have that in mind. Okay. Case of two avadim. First Eved, I give you partial. Second Eved, I'm giving you everything. Ruling, the guy gets everything. Why do we say that? Why don't we say that when I said, hey man, I'm giving you everything, it should exclude the stuff that he gave to the first guy? Because that should be like out of his mind already. I already gave a partial to the first guy. Everything means everything else. We don't say that. We say everything means everything. Then why in the case of hefker are we saying, hey Shimon, you can't benefit from me at all? Why are we saying, oh no, hefker stuff you could benefit from? These cases should be together. You see from the case of the Ebed that he does have in mind even things he gave already. Whereas in the case of Hefker, he doesn't have in mind the stuff of Hefker. Why not? That's the Gemara's question. Good? So, the Gemara answers. Ella Amarava. Ella comes to restart. And he explains a new explanation in Rav Yossi. Ella Amara, rather Rava says, Hainu Tamid Rav Yossi. The reason of Rav Yossi is Gezerah Mishum Matanat Bet Choron. A Gezerah because of the gift of Bet Choron. Let's see, what does this mean? Let's see the Ran.
What does the word gezerah mean?
Gezerah, a decree, yes.
Decree. Okay.
Meaning, it like the letter of the law should be okay. A decree is a rabbinic decree because you might come to violate the letter of the law, so it's like a fence. That's like a gezerah. So decree, but with that intention.
But is it a biblical? Is it a rabbinical
Rabbinical,
connotation?
a rabbinical connotation.
I see.
Because let's read the Ran. We'll see. Elama Rava, because of this question, Rava tweaks Rav Yossi's explanation. He says like this: Elama Rava, Ta'ama de Rav Yossi mishum matanat bechoron kamar. Amar. The reason of Rav Yossi is because of the gift of Bet Choron. That type of case. He says like this: Umidina vadai afilu Rav Yossi shari. According to the letter of the law, Rav Yossi would agree that in our Mishnah, back to our case, if a guy puts a sandwich on the floor, he would agree and says hefker, he would technically, according to the letter of the law, it would say that you're allowed. The guy's allowed to take it. And here we're going with Rav Yossi is explaining actually like everyone else in hefker. That when a person says hefker, it's out of his possession. So what's going on over here? Why does Rav Yossi say it's not allowed? Since Anan Sahadi, like we are witnesses, since we know that the whole reason why he made it hefker was in order for the guy that the oath was against him was in order for him to get that sandwich. That was the whole reason. That was the whole gimmick over here. Since everyone knows he's doing this sandwich thing on the rock or on the fence, it's all because he wants that guy Shimon to get it. If we're going to allow such a loophole, ati lemishri, it would come to allow afilu hecha de amar beferush. It might come to a point that you'll say it straight out. See, you'll say it straight out. Here, this is for you. You might come and violate your oath. Rav Yossi was worried. This loophole is playing with fire. According to the letter of the law, you're right. That's the laws of hefker. Meaning now we're changing. Rav Yossi agrees. Hefker is hefker. You let go, release it. You release it. Technically, that guy can come and get the sandwich. You're right. Letter of the law. But if you want to ask Rav Yossi, he says, "What's the law? Can we do such a thing?" He'll say, "No. Why not?" Decree. What's the decree? You might come to. If we're going to allow these type of things, because we know you're putting the sandwich for Shimon to get it. Meaning, imagine some guy runs and sees the sandwich and grabs it first. You said hefker, I get it. No, man, I want to give it to him. Hey, you said hefker, right? And that's not gonna. The whole intention was for this guy. Then what's gonna happen next time is you're gonna just say, here, just take it. You're gonna just say, here, this is hefker, but it's for Shimon or something. You're gonna say you're gonna violate your neder. Ukemaaseh Bet Choron, like there's a story with Bet Choron, similar type of thing where the words were violated because of the type of gimmick that was done, but it ended up being a violation. Come on. Yeah, sorry. It's meaning, but we're still going with the Rav Yossi, the part of Rav Yossi though that says that if the neder was before the hefker, that's where it's asur. But if the hefker was first, it would be allowed. That he still says that still remains in play. So what's coming out here is because of that past question. Ravas is a new explanation in Rav Yossi. Rav Yossi agrees to the general way of the outlook of hefker. Once you say hefker, it's not your ownership anymore. And technically, the guy could get it and it will work. We're just worried that if you're going to do these gimmicks, then next time you're just going to give it them straight. You're going to violate your neder, and therefore this thing doesn't work because of we're making this decree. This doesn't work. But if the hefker was done before the neder, that works. The hefker was done before the neder. If the neder was done, then the hefker was done. We know you're doing it as a gimmick, and that's why in that case it won't work. Okay. Chazak ubaruch.
Does Gezer also mean bad decrees?
A
Like
decree, gezerot tovot, gezerot raot. Yeah. Okay, we will like I wrote in the chat. So we have Sunday morning, last Sunday morning till after the Chagim, because of Selichot.
I'm doing breakfast for Trukha this Sunday.
Chazak ubaruch, chazak ubaruch. And so Sunday, and then Monday, and then after that we'll do every Monday, full daf every
I
Monday,
learned my lesson.
and then we'll see if it falls on Chagim. We'll put on the chat when any changes or anything like that. Chazak.